the lessons that you learned, I know it wasn't really talked about when we were younger, um, but we need to make the conversation around money. We need to make that second nature in our homes, so then our kids don't have to figure it out like we did. So if we're talking about the mistakes that we made, if we talked about the lessons that we learned, the kids that are growing up in our homes can extract those lessons without having to bump their head to go through it. Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, this is episode 86. 86 weeks of consistency, 86 weeks of getting it done. Listen, man, I am super, super excited, man, just to look back over all these different weeks and just see the progress and see how far we've come and just understand that we have so much further to go. If you are a new watcher, listener, or subscriber to this podcast, thank you so much for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about faith, family, and finances, among other things. If you are a return listener, watcher, or subscriber, thank you so much for joining us again and coming back. Hopefully, we are adding value to your lives on the way to the M's, because as always, we are on our way to the M's. So, guys, I had the pleasure um, at the the outset of this recording. I had the pleasure last night to talk to my church. I had the pleasure of doing a Bible study last night, and it was amazing. So by the time this comes out, it'll be weeks later, but it was an amazing experience. So I wanted to give a shout out, and I neglected to do it last night, but wanted to give a shout out to my pastor Jerome Lewis and his wife Lisa Lewis for entrusting me to give the message last night. And the message last night was about financial freedom and what financial freedom looks like. And not just what it looks like, but practical steps on how to achieve it and attain it. But before I started, I was walking around the church and praying and just understanding that the enemy did not want me there. And I understood that because I looked back over my life and saw the different challenges, the different obstacles that I had to face and overcome to get to where I was able to stand in front of the church last night and give a message in front of hundreds of people. So there was hundreds of people in attendance and there was hundreds of people watching on YouTube, which was insane. So I'm super grateful, super appreciative to be able to do that. And I just again thank you, Pastor, for allowing me to do it. But in talking about the challenges and the obstacles in your wealth building journey, you will face challenges. And hopefully you understand that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be sweet. For me, myself, growing up, if you're new again to this podcast, I grew up in a small town called Ardmore, Pennsylvania, and grew up during the crack era. So anybody who knows about the crack era knows that it was not sweet. Like there was a lot of drug addicts in the neighborhood. There may have been drug addicts in the house. Uh, Alcoholism ran rampant through the community. I lived across the street from a bar, um, and it just wasn't a great place to be at that point in time. Even though there was no shootings or stabbings or nothing like that, but just to look around your community and see the devastation just based on drugs was not good. But the also the challenging part is I was an awful student. I had behavioral issues and I had learning challenges. So it like just seeing the community and how it was, and then also understanding that I had some challenges. A lot of times when people go through things like that or things that I faced, they would think that that's their lot in life. That is where they're supposed to be, wherever you see yourself in your community, or if you grow up a certain way, a lot of people will tend to believe that that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. You have, if you have a desire to be somewhere else in life, like if you see something like physically, and then you see something different in your mind, you have to lock on to what you see in your mind. So for me, I saw abundance. I saw a 3, 4 bedroom house, nice area, no rodents in the house. I saw uh swimming pool. I saw the circle driveway, pull up in the driveway, go around the circle, you park, and then you walk in the house. That's what I saw. Now, uh I saw that in my mind. I didn't necessarily see that out where I was at the time, but I focused on what I saw on the inside. And one of the things that I talked about last night was wisdom. In the Bible, it talks about get wisdom, get understanding. And I think we also need to know what wisdom is, right? So, wisdom is the ability to use knowledge, experience, understanding, and insight to make sound judgment and decisions. What does that mean? It means that if you been through something and you liked it or you didn't like it, what did you learn from that? One of my favorite quotes from Napoleon Hill is every adversity comes with it the seed of an equivalent benefit, which means that everything that you go through in life, what did you learn? If your perspective is right, anything that you go through, good or bad, you're going to be able to extract a lesson from that thing. Now, wisdom will help you learn from that good or bad thing that happened and help you to move on from it and make a better informed decision on how to move moving forward. So if you grew up a way and you didn't like it, even though you may not have all the answers on how to get out of your situation, at the very least, you know what not to do. So if you grew up in a poverty-stricken area and you don't know exactly how to build wealth, that's fine, but you know what not to do. You know to live below your means spend less than you make and save money instead of spending it. I also talked about last night is that a lot of people do um, what I like to call like a janky budget. And I used to do this too, long time ago. Meaning that you have all of your income, you have all of your expenses, and then after you pay all of your expenses, you blow the rest of the money. Like you're paying minimum payments on your credit cards, you're paying minimum payments on your car note, your student loans, different things of that nature. But you have extra money left over. But instead of paying those items down further and then off, you blow the rest of the money. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have the payment longer than you need to. Therefore, you're making the bank that you're paying more money. You're making yourself less money. So I talked about instead of just, just making the minimum payments on those items, why don't we pay the things down and then off? So then we'll have more money. And if you don't know how to invest, that's fine. But if at the very least you're paying those things down, You can put money to the side to have emergency funds. You can also put money aside just to save it until you know what to do with the money. And I think that that's a very good start, but we have to get over the fact that we grew up maybe not with, or I'm going to say financially challenged, not poor. If you grew up financially challenged, what lesson did you extract from living that way? If you didn't like the way you live, it might not have been financially challenged. Maybe your dad or your mom wasn't around. What lesson did you extract from that? It may be that it'll help you be a better parent because you know how it felt not to have your parent around, or if they did certain things to you, said certain things to you that you didn't like, it would make sense for you not to treat your kids that same way because, again, you extracted the lesson from the thing that happened to you or happened for you. So you know not to treat your kids that way. My name is Che Willis from Wealth is a Journey, and I help families living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. And I understand the word budgeting can be scary. However, what we're doing is we're lowering your expenses so you can have that money make you more money. And I also understand that giving your financial information to a total stranger is very scary as well. So what I've done is created a digital product on my website to take the fear completely out. You don't have to give your information to me or anybody else for that matter. The digital product gives you step by step on how to set up a budget, why budgeting is important, so you can get to living the life that you want to live starting today. So go to wealthisajourney.com. Again, wealthisajourney.com to start living the life that you deserve. So today it's not the this podcast episode is not about step 1, 2, or 3 or anything like that. We're just having a conversation today because I feel like um what another thing that I talked about last night is that we get these messages and we get these lessons in church or something that you learn and you get excited about it, especially in church. You get this message and you get excited about it, and then you leave out of the house, you leave out of the church, and then you do nothing with the information. So my charge to you today is more so, what lessons did you extract maybe growing up? Or if you haven't extracted anything yet, maybe think back to when you were a kid, or maybe think back to something that maybe may have happened to you last week, or 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. What lesson did you learn from that? Get wisdom from it so you can make different decisions to move you to where you see yourself in your mind. Because I think that that's where abundance starts. It starts up here. You walk outside, you see houses. You walk outside, you see buildings. Those objects appeared in somebody's mind first before they actually physically appeared. So the same thing can happen for you. Again, you may not have all the answers, but at the very least, you have a desire to want more. So it would make sense for the actions that you take after you figured out what the desire is for you. You have to take steps towards the life that you want to live starting today. So, uh, wisdom, extracting those lessons is going to be huge for you to get to exactly where you want to be. But it starts with, where do you want to be? And then that could start with, where do you not want to be? So if you don't know where you want to be, at least you know where you don't want to be. So me, I knew that we grew up financially challenged because of different things. Like my grandparents, I grew up with them in Ardmore, and I extracted a lot of lessons from them. And my job, I felt like, was to take the information that they had that they gave me what I saw and now take that to the next level. They taught me how to save money, not necessarily how to budget, but I saw that in order for me to have money, I needed to save money. So I started there first as a kid. And then once I figured out, hey, if I pay down this car payment and pay it off, I get to keep my money. Hey, if I pay this rental property off, I get to keep all the money. Hey, if I pay this house off, I get to keep all the money. Student loans, I get to keep all the money. So forth and so on. Credit cards. So uh I feel like if you know exactly where you don't want to be, that's going to help you to be where you want to be, or at least take the steps to be where you want to be. So also in this journey, wealth building, your environment is going to be very, very important. Your environment is going to tell you everything that you need to know. What does that mean? So your environment uh, may have been not the best growing up. Again, what lessons did you extract from that environment? If your environment now does not line up with where you're trying to go, if you or your friends talk about vacationing all the time, but you're broke. When I say broke, meaning that you just have money to pay your bills. You go on a vacation, you put it on a credit card instead of um, paying for the vacation just to go cash. Meaning that if you go on this vacation and then your water heater breaks, that's going to put you further in the hole. So if you're in that environment and you're not strong enough to tell your friends no, then it's going to make sense to remove yourself from hanging out as much just until you're strong enough to be able to be around these people and not feel pressured to go on vacations and put yourself deeper and deeper in a hole. And I understand the thinking, like we are making more money than our parents have ever made, right? And a lot of us grew up a way where we weren't able to do the things that we wanted to do or buy the sneakers that we wanted to buy or polo or Tommy Hilfiger, the things that were big when I was growing up. Like maybe some of us couldn't buy those things. So now we're making a little bit of money and we feel like I work hard, I deserve it. I can go ahead and run it up. But if you're thinking longer term, it would make more sense to again pay those items down, pay your credit card debt and things like that, and looking away, looking like you're rich is important to a lot of us. Looking like you're rich, but if you drive the nice car, you have the nice clothes, and then you look at your debt to income ratio, that tells a different story. And I went through the phase that I wanted to look away because I didn't have it when I was growing up and having all the nice things and all that. I had a few nice things because I worked or whatever, but it wasn't about building for the future. So once I figured out that like nobody cares what I have on, it's not affecting anybody one way or the other, and getting all these compliments and all these things like that, yeah, that's cool, but I would now rather to build for the future so I know for certain I'm never going back to where I grew up in that environment. I mean, so now I'm able to build for the future, continue to invest in myself and my family, and I know that I'm not going to go through the things that I saw in my environment. So again, we want to make sure that we're making the decisions that line up with where we want to go, so we don't go back to where we don't want to go. And so we have to make wiser decisions, and that's going to start from knowing where you don't want to be. So I want you to really think about where you want to be in life, and if your actions are not lining up with where you want to go, then we have to take a step back and tweak our process a little bit. If you're overspending, just dial it back a little bit. Just take that little small step and put the money aside, pay things down, things of that nature. And then that's going to set you on a course to build for the future. So when you get to retirement age, you're not going to have to continue to work because you have to. Now, if you choose to work and you got millions of dollars in the bank, or if you are able to live a comfortable life without having to work, I'm cool with that. But there's nothing worse than watching somebody have to get up to go to work because they have to, not because they want to, past retirement age. So we have to realize that the road that we're going down, if we're not building for the future, that road doesn't end well. So the thing that I want to kind of drive home is for us to use wisdom on our wealth building journey. Think about the long term. Think about how you grew up. If you grew up um, and there were some areas of opportunity for you and your family to do better, like what lessons could you extract from that? And then make different decisions. If you grew up great, that's awesome. Um, what lessons can you extract from that to build on what you learned? Maybe not the information that your parents gave you, but what did you see? How can you build on that? And the lessons that you learned, I know it wasn't really talked about when we were younger, um, but we need to make the conversation around money. We need to make that second nature in our homes, so then our kids don't have to figure it out like we did. So if we're talking about the mistakes that we made, if we talked about the lessons that we learned, the kids that are growing up in our homes can extract those lessons without having to bump their head to go through it. So hopefully that makes sense. But the talk last night was amazing, and again, I really appreciate it because it gave me some confidence, man. Because like I said, when growing up, the confidence level wasn't necessarily there just because of the challenges that I faced. But I believe that the enemy wanted to have me go through those challenges to stop me from being able to give that message. And if I had have believed that being an introvert or being scared to speak publicly was my lot in life, then I would have not been able to possibly inspire or help push somebody to start their wealth building journey and understand that poverty is not their lot in life, because it's not. Like, there's no worse testimony for somebody to watch you be financially challenged and you're a Christian. It's better for you to be living well, so then somebody can ask you, hey, how did you do that? And then you can say, hey, let me tell you. Let me tell you what God did for me. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about telling how he helped you to get to where you are today. So that's the episode. Uh, Hopefully this has helped somebody. Wealth is a journey. We will see you next week. Peace.